Hello, everyone, and welcome back for some more freshly brewed drag tea. Today, I have with me an incredible Kiwi queen who charmed us all with her charisma and humour when she competed on season 2 of Drag Race Down Under. I'm super excited for you all to get to know her better and learn more about her amazing journey in drag. We'll, of course, be talking all things Drag Race, and I'll be asking some of the amazing questions you all sent in. Please join me in welcoming the winner of season 2 and the current reigning champion of Drag Race Down Under, the amazing Spankie Jackzon. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. How fun.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited. Like my first winner I've interviewed on my channel.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you, babes. I'll take that. Oh, hey, there's one for me.
And we were discussing before we started that you've shown up to the interview naked.
I have. I felt like it was really on brand. And oh, hang on, I've just lost my earpiece. Hang on, I'm coming back. Hang on, I'm coming back.
This is
when you're not wearing
brand.
a lot of when you're not wearing a lot of clothes, there's not really a lot of places to stick things. So sorry about that, everybody. I'm back. And yeah, I've got no clothes on.
Is that because it's balmy and palmy?
It's always balmy and palmy. Oh, actually, it has been bloody balmy and palmy this week, and then we had a thunderstorm, so then it got all hot because we get like humidity, it gets moist, and then I get moist, and then the world gets moist, and it's just really like a bo soup, and it's just it's so delicious. But it has been really lovely here.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And you're looking very sort of like glossy, sheeny, and I think it goes, you're almost like kind of giving me like a pop star vibe.
Thank you. I mean, all I really did was have a shower, and just wash the moistness off me. I think it's also our New Zealand products. I use a lot of kiwi fruit and some feijoa. Yeah, some cocoa butter. Who knows?
Well, we're all so excited for you to be here. I know people were very excited, like to send in questions for you and stuff. So
that's so kind.
So yeah, if we could first sort of start off, I'd love to hear a bit more about you, your sort of like your background in drag, where your drag name came from, and things like that.
Okay, so God, that's such a hard question. It feels like such a long time ago now. I was a very young kid, gay kid, who always had a penchant for dresses. Always have. I used to steal my dad's business shirts and make them be the tooth fairy at my primary school, and I used to like be in my Auntie Shelley's knickers at the washing line. And they were always the lacy ones, always the frilly ones. Not the poo ones, okay? Not the 5-pack. We don't need that. Let's skip on. It was the silkiness. And then I did my first drag show at high school in rural Fielding at a lunchtime concert. I don't know why I had the balls to do it, but I just did. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. And did it. And then I played a role in a local production of Ladies' Night, which is a New Zealand play. And I played one of the strippers who was no good at stripping and ended up hosting the show as a drag queen. And that was at 14. My mum was the choreographer in the show, and my dad was a stripper at 50. With his wang out. It was a sight to behold. But good on him. Do you know what I mean? Like, good on him. At 50, I'll be getting my out too. I don't care. But yeah, so and then that's all how it really began. That is like where the beginning of Spankie was born. My drag name, I used to be called Phoebe Liqueur when I was adopted by my drag mother. And I moved to Australia when I was 18, and I just decided, I was like, I need a change. Do you know what I mean? I need a different name. And I always loved having my bum out. So Spankie came about, and it used to just be Spankie. It was just Spankie, like Madonna, Cher. And then you have drag daughters and drag families, and that's when Jackson became, and here we are. Yeah.
That's such a cool story to hear that. So basically, what I'm hearing is you are a stripper and you come from a lineage of strippers.
Well, I mean, you heard it here first. Like, let's be real. Yeah, pretty much.
That's very on brand for you, I think.
I mean, hello, I'm a product of my environment.
That's so cool. And I love, I mean, Spankie Jackzon is like it's such a fun name. And it's one of those names that's kind of also, it's fun, but it's kind of difficult to spell because it's not Jackson like you would think, like
Oh,
Jackzon.
babes, probably one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my entire life. But you know, this actually happens to me normally. So I'm kind of, in some ways, it's kind of fitting. My last name's Macbeth, and people always spell it Macbeth. So I always get that misspelling there. And so Jackson always gets the same. Do you know what I mean? And I just can't understand it. It's Jackson. Okay, Jackson. Spankie Jackson. Okay, that's how it's said. Okay, so people, Jackson. Yeah, get on.
Okay. I will,
Jackson.
from now on, I will only be pronouncing it Jackson.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, they would just really warm my heart.
Well, thank you so much for explaining about that, Spankie Jackson. Um, And so it's obviously like you said, you got started in drag. One thing that people may not know, because I don't think they really talked about it that much on Drag Race, but you actually appeared on a show called House of Drag, which was the Kiwi version, the New Zealander version of Drag Race before Drag Race started. And
Uh-huh.
you actually won that. And
Yeah.
a lot of people maybe don't know that because they didn't really touch on it on Drag Race. So I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about your experience on that show.
Yeah. So oh wow. Okay. So House of Drag was obviously, like you said, a New Zealand TV show. It was about a bunch of drag queens who lived together, and it was kind of like Big Brother meets Drag Race in a way. And we actually lived together. I'm just saying it was one of the most grossest times of my life because I like a clean house and these were not clean. I'm just saying. I even cleaned the toilet on the first day. Anyway, we're digressing. I will do this. So yeah, House of Drag. And so that kind of came about just randomly. Like I saw the first season. I'd moved back to New Zealand, obviously, like, I mean, we can get into this a bit later, but why I came home from Melbourne. And then that opportunity just popped up. And so I went in as an intruder. So I went in, I missed 3 episodes, and I went in and annihilated it, really. So, and it was a great experience. It was such a, I feel like in some ways it was probably a little bit of an advantage as a like a prequel to Drag Race, because I kind of already had gone through something similar or ish, you know what I mean? Same vibe, same feel. So yeah, but it was an amazing experience, and I think it's such a Kiwi version of Drag Race anyway. Like it's such a it was just rough and just so much fun. And we had such a blast making that thing. Like we had so much fun. So, and I think that really translates. Okay, actually, maybe some people didn't have a good time. I did. Some people were crying a lot, and I wasn't one of them.
I've seen a few episodes because obviously it's only on New Zealand like TV, and
Yeah.
I used a VPN to try and watch it, but then they kept
I
geo
think you
blocking
can
it.
like, I think if you're in the UK, yeah, I think it may be available on Out TV. So I'm not sure if that's a thing, but that's probably a place to. I know that it's on there in Australia. So I know that Canada was sold it too. So it's probably on there somewhere. So if you can see it, watch it. It's fun.
Yeah, I watched a few episodes before it got blocked, and it looked really fun. And I think the episode I got up to was the episode I think before you came in, so I didn't unfortunately get to see
Oh
you.
no.
And I'll see if I can try and dig it out and see if I can get back on it. But it was a really fun show, and what I thought was quite interesting, looking back on it, was so it was hosted by Keita and Anita, who were
Yeah.
on Drag Race season one, Drag Race Down in season one, and Electra Shock, who was a contestant, was also a
Uh-huh.
contestant in House of Drag, and
Yeah.
you beat her, and then was
Yeah.
also the two judges were then competitors on the show on Drag Race.
Yeah.
Um, so it kind of made me think: did you get offered season one of Drag Race?
I was in the running, but I obviously wasn't what they were looking for at that time. And that's the direction that they chose to go in. I'm okay with that, babes. I'm all good with it. At the time, look, I was bloody gutted. I was. Because I was like, I just won this other show. Like I can do this. Like I've shown you I can do this. Do you know what I mean? I've got what it takes. So I was super gutted. And it was actually my mum. And she said to me, she was like, look, season 2 of House of Drag worked out well for you the first time. It's just not your time. And once I accepted that, I was like, because you get over it. Do you know what I mean? You get to a point where you're like, oh, okay, who cares? Then, to watch it, you know, was I going to get a second chance? I don't know, babes. I'm just saying, that's just my 10 cents. But it's not because of how the show came about. It's because it was trying to find its feet. It was trying to be, a half American, half Australian, and it just wasn't quite getting its groove. And that's all it came down to. It was always going to be wonky. And the second season, still wonky as I mean, hello, did you see my outfits? Like, I mean, honestly, it was a nightmare for me. It was a nightmare. But yeah, here we are. Like, amazing.
No, because I, like you said, I actually quite liked Down Under both of the seasons, but it did get a little bit of sort of criticism. People saying that it would looked a bit low budget or it didn't quite like.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of charming in that way. Like you got to
Yeah.
just accept it for what it is. But I think it would have. I can kind of maybe see why you didn't get on season one because I'm not sure how that would have panned out with you competing against people who were judges on a show you just won, and then the person who you beat in the finale or the semi,
Yeah.
whatever it was. Like
Yeah.
I can kind of maybe see why that would have been a bit weird.
Oh,
So,
yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing is like when you go into these TV shows, there's part of you that thinks, oh, this is a fantasy, this is amazing, this is real life, this is, it's not, it's television. And that's what we need to be a little bit more realistic about. It's like these girls who try and then fail and fail and fail. And it's like, it's just not, you're not what they're looking for the show. It's not that you're it's that you're just not what fits in the mold for this season, what they want. They're going to want something different every time. It can't be the same. So it's, just keep on trying. Yeah.
that's great advice. And we kind of touched on this earlier, but so obviously, you get on Drag Race on season 2, and one of the things that I thought was quite interesting was that you were one of the Kiwi queens rather than an Australian queen. But you kind of talked on the show about being from New Zealand, but then you moved to Melbourne in Australia. So I was just wondering if you can sort of talk about the move and when you like where you are now in terms of like which city and moving between and how that all worked.
Okay. So I moved to Melbourne when I was 18 and I lived there for 12 years. And then I moved back to New Zealand 8 years ago. My dad got sick and it was my 30th birthday. And I got the call that he was sick and I was literally at my birthday party. That's what happened. And I ended up coming home and he's great now. So hallelujah. Do you know what I mean? So we've had this time, which I'm very grateful for. But yeah, 8 years ago. So now I'm back in New Zealand. I live in Palmerston North. I'm in this country town. Like, honestly, people, I don't think you understand. Like, I just won Drag Race. And if you saw me and where I am right now, you'd be like, what the hell is going on with this girl? Honestly, it's crazy. It's just bizarre. But yeah, I'm still here. I love Palmy. And if I can stay here as long as I will, or can, I will. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's like a very sweet story that you came to look after your dad and everything. I think that's very like you should be very proud of that. And I'm sure a lot of people would like can see that's such a great thing for you to do. You're effectively giving up, not giving up, but you're sort of taking yourself out of a situation that you were in and like the opportunities that were in Melbourne and coming back to a
Yeah,
small town. That's very sort of admirable thing to do.
thank you. I didn't ever think of it like that. It's like my parents adopted me, so they're technically they're my nana and granddad. Like they adopted me when I was 2, and the way I looked at it at that time is that they gave up their lives for me. So why wouldn't I do the same thing in return? And it's really that simple. It's like, okay, well, now's your time. Now you have to go home and you have to do this. And it was horrible. It was a horrible 3 years. I stopped doing drag. I didn't do anything. I got fat. Like I got depressed. It just felt like not that I had, but I felt like I'd failed. I was at a certain level already, and it just kind of it all just disappeared. Do you know what I mean? And I was in rural fielding in New Zealand, so there might be one car and a train goes past at night. That's it. And I was in my own room, so I just felt like, yeah, it's stupid to feel like that, but I did. But can you imagine if I'd stayed? Like, here I am. We've had this time together, and Dad's good, and we've gotten to achieve all this stuff as well at the same time. So maybe it's the universe's way of making life good. Yeah.
I think I mean, look, it worked out for you. You've won 2 shows, and without being there, you would never have had the Barmy and Palmy thing, which is
No, but
arguably.
come on, like the real question is how? Like, how? How did we do this twice? I don't know. Please, somebody tell me, because I have no idea.
Well, I'll tell you. I think it's natural charisma. Natural charisma.
Yeah, I mean, there's that.
I interviewed Hannah Conda.
Oh, she's so fun. Like I
She-
watched your guys' one. It was very good. Loved it.
Thank you. And like, so I remember talking to her, and she was obviously you can watch the interview, and I asked her like sort of about different challenges, and there was a particular challenge. I can't remember which one, but it was one where you won, and she thought she was going to win, and I was like, oh, why'd you think that? And she was just like, effing Spankie with her natural charisma. And I was like,
I mean, I can't help it. Like, it's not something I can turn on or off. It's just in me. Like, I was born with it, you know? I didn't realize kind of what kind of superpower it really was until I probably was in my 30s, which is where I realized I was like, you know what? I can do this very well. So, yeah. And Hannah, I mean, honestly, gosh, which one was the challenge though? I feel like it was the acting challenge where she should have won. Yeah. Well, see, I should have won the advert. So I'm just saying, it's always Barmy and Palmy here. We should have swapped those wins. We should have actually decided it ourselves on the stage and be like, I've decided that you win this challenge. We'll swap prizes. Yeah.
I think it might have been the acting chat. Yeah, I can't remember, but
Yeah, I think it was.
yeah, I think she also said about the makeover challenge that she didn't think that she should have been in the bottom, and but then she was like, King Spankie, like she in a loving way.
Oh, look, me and Hannah and Queen are super tight, and we're family, so it doesn't They can say whatever they like because I'll say whatever I like as well because I'd say it to their face. I don't go, I really don't care. Do you know what I mean? But that's who we are. And I think it's very unique too. I think like Adore, Courtney, and Bianca are probably the last top three we've really seen a solid friendship from. And I think that we pride ourselves on that too. Do you know what I mean? When we're together, we're having fun, but we get to work together and um be together and just enjoy the ride together. And that's kind of what we did the whole way through Drag Race. So, we just get to keep this special thing. That's the win. Like it really is. I keep saying this to people. That is the win, is like the friendship that the three of us have. I have absolute respect and admiration for both of those girls. And I can't do what they do. Like, but they can't do what I do. So it's that simple. It's like, and it could have gone anyway. So there is no love lost between us. We are pretty amazing people because we like to have a good time together and eat. Eating is key.
Yeah, I think that's such a lovely thing. That was actually going to be one of my points about the fact that you three have like been such a, like a really tight, closely knit and like genuine friendship top three. We've not really had that, like you said, since maybe season 6 of US. Like there just hasn't been that, and it's been lovely to see. You can see in like interviews with the three of you, because you've obviously done a lot of like press and stuff together. It's really fun to see that you're all genuinely friends, and that's exactly what Hannah said, even though she was complaining about your natural charisma.
Thank you. Have you seen that? I mean, she is stunning, like breathtakingly flawless every bloody time, every bloody detail. Every time she walk in the room, I'd be like, oh, I may as well just go home. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's so amazing. So amazing.
She is very, very polished, very like amazing, amazing queen.
Yeah.
We're going back to another amazing queen yourself. So obviously getting onto Drag Race, we sort of talked a bit about before that. So what did it feel like then when you did get on season 2 and you got the call and then you go to film? What did that whole process feel like?
So I got the call. My Drag Race journey was full of loads of full circle moments. So I can't even describe all of them to you, but one of them, this is how it started, which was that I just so happened to be in the theater that I had done my very first dancing competition in the same dressing room, in the same seat when I got the call. And I know it was just crazy that this just all seemed to happen at the same time. So, of course, I'm in a room full of drag queens and I get the call to be on Drag Race. So I'm like, oh yeah. And these guys are all talking down here about what they auditioned, blah, 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 who should be in, blah, blah. And of course, I'm just like, look, I'm not talking about this. Like, I'm not talking about it. And then of course I get this call and I'm like, holy, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, just keep it together. So I like had to leave. I walked outside, like screamed for a little bit and jumped around. And then I had to like keep it together for 2 separate shows of like full hour shows and then a break and then another audience with these girls the whole time. And they're all talking about it, who they're gonna do. And I was just like, oh my God, it was a torture. It was torture. But absolutely ecstatic. And then the fear starts to set in, like where you're like, okay, yeah, am I good enough? Then you start thinking that, are my clothes good enough? Is this? And it was a whole nightmare, the whole process for me with clothes and everything. So, I mean, that's a whole nother story in itself, but that's why it ended up the way it did. And it's a rush, it's hard work and very rewarding, regardless if I'd won or lost. Would I change a thing? Yeah, my outfits. But the rest of it, no, I don't care. Do you know what I mean? But it was amazing. Like, this doesn't happen to everybody. I used to sit on my couch with my friend, and we used to Friday nights used to be Spag and Drag Fridays, and we watched Drag Race. And we've done this for years. And then, of course, we would sit there and joke about, what, what we would be like if we were on the show, or, would you be the would you be the, would you be this one? Or, who do you think, how would you kill that challenge? All of that. And we all do it. But then for that to come to fruition is like the next level. And I don't think people can quite grasp, nobody could grasp what that's like to be able to jump through the television screen into something that you have watched. I watched from episode 1 of the first season. So I've watched the show the whole time it's been on. So for me to get that opportunity and then to sit here and have done it, I mean, that's crazy.
It's
nuts.
It must be so crazy, like being such a fan of the show yourself and being on, and like the fact that you'd already won kind of like a version of Drag Race, the prequel to Drag Race. Yeah, so we talked a bit about you talked about getting on the show and everything. I remember, so you walked in on the first episode and you were wearing that little number, and I remember because you had legs out, short skirt, like shorter than anything I've ever seen. I just loved you as soon as you walked in and with that fan, and you were just absolutely serving it with the legs. And I just remember thinking like, oh my God, I absolutely love her already. She hasn't even opened her mouth.
Thanks, I'll take that. That's good. That's the impression, right? Big yeah.
What did it feel like walking in on the first day?
Oh, that was crazy. And you're full of like nerves and excitement, and then when you start to like, I mean, the other thing is when you actually see the set in your mind, you're like, oh, it's this amazing. Yeah, it's not. It's a set. So that's the first thing you realize when you walk in. You're like, oh, this is not as cool as it looks on TV. That was my first thought. But it's bizarre. It's so bizarre. And then, I mean, the moment RuPaul walks out, that's the moment you go, like, your mind just goes, you're in a different realm, absolute different realm. So, yeah, that's the moment, hey? But it's wild, it's crazy, it's exciting. Who would have thought this would have happened? I just think it's amazing.
No, it's crazy. It must be so crazy to actually do that, and like you've been watching the show for so long, and then you actually get to meet RuPaul. And if memory serves me correctly, you even got slapped by RuPaul.
You need a queen's help. Spankie? Yeah. Thank you, Spankie. You're welcome. You may join the other girl.
Yeah, I did. And some behind the scenes tea. Okay, you're welcome. Was that she was not supposed to slap me. She told me at one point later that she was supposed to slap another girl, but changed her mind. So I don't know, maybe something about my vibes were serving on that day. But that was like a dream come true. Like I was like, when that happened, I was like, oh my God, I just got the slap from RuPaul. That's so iconic. I love that. So I was stoked to be slapped. And it was so much fun. And it was a good first impression too.
It was, and he was so funny. And like maybe she saw those mile-long legs and was just like, yeah, that's the one I want to slap.
Who knows? This was so stunning. And here's me in my tiny dress. Like, I mean, I did have a train to make it classy. Like,
well, no one's ever said that having your legs out isn't classy. So.
Right. That's right. Exactly. And when they're as long as mine, that's my asset. Just saying.
Well, I think your asset is something else.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah. I'm a combination deal. Yes. And my nudity.
Which you're serving today. But so so obviously when you walked in, you then you see the rest of the cast. Which of the cast did you already know?
Oh, I knew of Hannah. I know Yuri. Minnie, I already I knew of her, didn't know her personally, but the rest of them, none of them. So that was also a good thing. That's another good thing because I got to just get to know everybody really. And I think some of the others had a bit of, because of previous relationships, that just gets brought up because your previous relationship. So that was kind of a good thing. I didn't really have a lot of outside drama to come in. So that was good.
Yeah, I think that it can be an advantage and a disadvantage, and it kind of depends on how you see it. But it was interesting to hear that you'd heard of some people, not others. When you saw all the queens together, just from sort of first impressions or your own knowledge of them, which queen would you have sort of said from the start was your biggest competition?
Oh, we all know who it is. It was Queen. It's that the moment she walked in that bloody door, my mouth just went like, she's amazing. And I'd never heard of Queen. So I'd never ever heard of her before. And then this was my first impression. I was like, oh, hell. And because I come from a drag family of, Pacific Māori girls who do this, and they are fierce as. So when she walked through the door, I knew exactly who she was, how this was going to happen, and that she's as amazing as she is. And she is, she was the competition. Yeah. And then definitely Hannah. Hannah is so funny. So it was like she was riding my ass the whole time, where it was just like, Hannah, I don't want you to top me. So if we could just like back your truck up and let me do my thing, that'd be good. But she's so funny, and just the comic timing, very similar traits. Like, so yeah, but they're both competent. And it looks. The same. It's those two. I'm just gonna say it. It's those two.
So basically, it's the top three.
It's just us.
So obviously, those are your top. Those are your top. So those are your biggest competition. I kind of agree. As soon as I saw all three of you walk in, I was like, yeah, I can kind of see like each of them has something special. And like Queen, she looked amazing when she walked in. I was like, okay, and everyone was gagged because most people knew who she was. I was like, okay.
I didn't even have any idea. So I was just like, I was more gagged that she came dressed with like a gorilla's head around her. Like I died. I thought that was the best entrance. But yeah, amazing.
No,
it feels like so long ago. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine it must be quite weird thinking back on the filming, because obviously it's much longer ago than we saw it on TV.
Yeah.
You kind of remembering.
Yeah. Oh, it's like I was just back in the room just then. Like I just remember when Queen walked in and how gagged I was. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I can't even just, it was terrible. Wow.
She's amazing. I think, you all had all had your own thing going on, but I think, you three were kind of from the start, were probably after a few episodes, I had you three down as being the top three, to be honest, or at least like getting to the finale. I could kind of see that because you were all so good at your own individual things.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think the girl group challenge was really the clincher for me, where that's why I wanted to work with those two. I knew that they were both great, and I knew together with me, like we were going to be great. And it was really that moment that solidified it for us, because we had so much fun doing it. Absolute blast. I didn't feel like Drag Race. We were just having the best time doing our thing, shaking our shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And it was so much fun. It was one of the best things. And all that mattered to us was that we got to get to the end together, and we achieved that. And that's all that mattered.
Yeah,
I know that sounds so sad. Like people will be like, you're on Drag Race. And it's like, yeah, but I don't care. We did it. We were like, okay, we get to the end. Yeah. Hey. That was literally all that mattered to us.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. By the time it got to sort of like that time when you did the Babs and everything, I was like, yeah, I think they're just living in their own fantasies. They've almost forgotten that they're on Drag Race and they're just three queens having fun.
Very much so. We were on holiday by that point. We were like, okay, you want us to be dressed up? Okay, cool. What are we doing today? Okay, fun.
Yeah, I think Yeah, I've heard it described as I think it was Beverly Kills when I interviewed her, which hasn't come out as speaking. It hasn't come out yet, but it will do soon. She said that it felt a bit like being almost at like drag summer camp or something.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, very much so. We just had a fun time. Yeah, it's emotional and people, you do go through it. I mean, even on that first day, like I was shocked that I was in the bottom. Okay, yep, my outfit, great. Excuse me, I'm burping. But quietly. See how I did that stealth though? Because I'm a woman. It's because I'm a woman. I'm just saying that I'm a woman. Right? So hang on. See, I've lost track now. Where were we?
You were about to start talking about being in the bottom in the first week.
Oh yeah. So like even that week, that was such an emotional roller coaster for me personally. And then everything else that happens for everybody else after that. So everybody's journey is completely different from anybody else's because there is an emotional trauma that comes from it. There is. Like that day, I was like, I'm not going home. Like I'm absolutely not going. Like I'm not leaving. And I was dead serious. Like you would drag me out of there. I'm not going. Like I have more to prove than making some stupid pipe ass outfit. Like, no. And I still stand by it because I did something that was different from everybody else, which should have got some marks. Okay, was it great? No. Did I have pants on? No. Is it my brand? Yes. So I just did me. But yeah, that was a scary moment. Yeah. So I mean, it's the same for like, people like Beverly who had to lip sync three times? So it's like, that's traumatic in itself, being in that experience. And yeah, yeah. And then there's all the joyful parts where we just laughed our asses off the whole way through. And we're all sisters. We have a good time. We kiki, and it's been super fun.
Yeah, no, so I wanted to kind of I wanted to kind of get onto that. So obviously you were there for every challenge. So we can't go through every challenge individually as we'd be here until Christmas. But
Okay.
I wanted to sort of touch on a few of like the key moments, I think, throughout your journey on Drag Race.
Okay.
One of them being the first episode, the design challenge. So I think I remember when you made that outfit, like you said, it was unlike anything I think anyone's ever seen on planet Earth. I remember when you walked out, and again, you had your legs out for days, like right up to the cooch. And I remember just thinking you were just so funny, and you were like selling the paint off the walls. I thought it was so fun, and I was kind of surprised that you were in the bottom that week because of it. Although the construction maybe wasn't great, I thought you sold it. So yeah, I wanted to kind of hear from you in terms of like, what was that like making that outfit, and did you think you were going to be in the bottom?
Okay, so they gave us the challenge at like, I think it was like 8:30 or 9:00 at night. So we had worked all day, and I'd been up since 5, putting on a face to do the entrances and stuff. I don't know how much I can talk about. So anyway, but I thought they were kidding. Like, I thought they were joking. I said to Queen at one point, I was like, oh, awesome, good. We're going to go home now, like, and we can take the shit off and we can do this tomorrow. She was like, no, girl, we start now. I was like, no, like, we've worked all day. She's like, no, girl, we start now. So that was at 8:30 at night, and I did not leave there until 5 a.m. So, yeah. And we all stayed till 5 a.m. I would have slept there, but they wouldn't allow it. So, like, I wanted to make a headpiece, and I probably would have had a mud flap. But I like wanted to make this like piped, like it was supposed to be like avant-garde look. Anyway, okay, it wasn't fashion, and who gives a toss about fashion? I'm just saying. But I honestly didn't think that I was going to be in the bottom. I didn't. I thought that probably Foe would have been, and I thought that, if I'm honest, I thought that Molly was probably going to end up there, and Molly ended up winning. So, and it was people who had used similar things. Do you know what I mean? That all kind of made the same thing. So it's like Yuri. Yuri was somebody who stood out. I think Yuri should have won, to be fair. He made that amazing gown out of plastic and bloody cable ties. It was insane. But I'm not a judge. I don't get to judge that. Do you know what I mean? It's like people will say, "Oh, I don't deserve to win other challenges." Well, you could say that. I don't get to judge. I don't get to make that decision, you know? So, but yeah, I don't think I should have been in the bottom, but I'm glad I was, because it was so bad that it was good, and it was iconic. It was iconic. And you know what? I wish I'd kept the bloody thing now. I chucked it in the bin. I was so angry. I was like, "You're the ugliest effing outfit." And I chucked it in the bin. I was like, "You may be in the bottom." And I wish I'd kept it as a museum piece now, because it would be sitting in my lounge room. It actually would. Yeah, what a disaster.
I mean, I remember that was I actually low-key liked it. Like it was like it was almost like you said, it was so bad that it was good. And the way you sold it, I was I don't know, I was you from that challenge, if I think back on it, there's only a few people I remember, and yours is one of them. So
Well, see, that's good. It's memorable for being bad and good at the same time. I mean, somebody named it like my Teletubby anal prolapse or something like that. That's what they had renamed their outfit. So that's what it is now.
I
There
mean,
we go.
maybe that's your brand, Teletubby Prolapse.
I mean, let's hope not, babes. Otherwise, we're going to start coming out with nappies next. And I think we're still too young for nappies, babes. Okay, not yet. Spankie's friends. Maybe that's what they're called. Spankie's friends. Like, and there's pictures of like, oh my god, I've just thought of a brainwave. Like, and then they could have like lacy knickers printed on the nappy for like, so people could feel sexy, you know? Spankie's friends. When you want to get down and funky.
For those of you that might be incontinent but want to still look sexy,
look me up. That's right. I'm starting to sell them as of this week. Spankie's friends.
I'm sure you could sell anything.
Yeah, I probably could.
Yeah, because I mean, like, yeah. So you were in the bottom, and you did an amazing lip sync, and obviously Foe went home, unfortunately. So sort of moving on, the next two challenges you had, the drag brunch and the acting challenge, and then the drag brunch, and you were in the top for those two challenges and won. How did that feel being in the bottom episode one and then having like two really high placements?
Nothing is taken for granted. Like, and I think that is really the key to Drag Race. I've watched too many seasons to see it happen. Where, sorry again with the burping, where people become very cocky after a win, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm at the top of the pack." No, you got to keep on winning. Do you know what I mean? So that is how. I didn't expect to win either of those. I never expected to be in the top. I always thought I was in the bottom. And I just played that game that way, which was that I always just believed that I always could be out the next week. It didn't matter if I won the week before, I could still go home. So it means nothing. Yeah, you put points on the board, whoop-dee, you know. And yes, you are being noticed. So that's another thing where you're like, okay, they see me. But yeah, again, didn't expect to win either of those. I mean, really. I mean, acting, yeah. And I wish you'd gotten to see more of it. Like, it felt a little bit cut and chopped. You didn't quite get to see everything from everybody. So it's, yeah, it's, you know, we can all watch it. And even I watched it and I was like, I shouldn't have won that. Like, that wasn't great. But that's because of the way it was edited, you know? So, yeah, but it was great. And then the girl group challenge. Ta-da! Like, that was fun too, you know? Good win.
Yeah, I think you sold it. And I can, like you said, I guess you can always say, oh, I should have won this challenge, but not this challenge and everything. But in the end, you did amazing in all of these challenges. Like, you
Yeah.
basically had an amazing track record apart from the first episode. Your
Like,
track record was really, really good.
I killed it. So it was like, but that was the thing. It was like, there was never that moment in my brain at any point where I became over cocky and became like, I'm amazing. I'm really good at this. And I think that that's what helped me stay stable as well. Was because of that fact. It's like I'm watching this room and I'm constantly like, there's so many talented people in this room, and I was constantly in awe of them. Do you know what I mean? It was like, oh, you know, is it based on looks? Is it based on this? I don't have that. I'm not that. So there was a whole lot of self-doubt that goes on behind there as well. You know, I'm no different from anybody else. So yeah, every win was a bonus. And that were all unexpected, apart from the girl group, because I was like, we killed it. I came off stage and I was like, we just killed that. Like, we killed it. So, but yeah, it's yeah, take it as it comes, you know, nothing's a given. So we've seen this happen as well with like Ella Day. She won 4 and then didn't end up winning. And it was like, but if it goes on points and track record, then she deserved to win. You know what I mean? So we've seen this happen before. It means nothing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's weird to sort of, when you're in watching the show, you're seeing an edited version. Obviously, they know ultimately who wins, so they're going to edit it to show
That's
someone's
right. Yeah.
progression and their storyline. And obviously, you don't see that when you're actually there, because obviously you're just filming in. So it's interesting to hear that kind of side of it, what your expectation was, and whether you just thought you were going to win those challenges. One of the challenges, so if we sort of spin on a little bit to Snatch Game. So on Snatch Game, obviously, like, so you did Barry Humphries as Dame Edna, who was or is sort of like an Australian comedy icon, and like Dame Edna, I'm very familiar with Dame Edna. One thing I kind of wanted, because I thought you did a really good job, by the way, like your impersonation was great, you were so funny. One thing that I kind of wasn't expecting, because I didn't actually know much about Barry Humphries other than that he did Dame Edna, was that there was this kind of there's a bit of like backlash against him because he's made some sort of transphobic comments in the past, and he's sort of been shunned a little bit from the community. So I was just wondering, did you know that going into the Snatch Game, and did you expect that you might get some flack, some like criticism for playing him?
So no, that's the first answer is no. I had no idea that this was even attached to Barry Humphries or Dame Edna or whatever. So that's the first part. And if I had known that previously, would I have done it? Probably not. You know, like it's really that simple. It's really interesting that you brought that up. Very well done, Mr. Matt. I see you. So I saw where you were going 5 minutes into it. I was like, oh, okay, all right, we're going here. So yeah, no, I had no idea. And of course, when it was kind of brought up and stuff like that, I was kind of like, okay, look, I can understand why people would be upset, but you know, I can't change that. And for me personally, you know, regardless of some comments that were made, you know, you can't completely erase somebody's legacy. And if we really want to start looking at legacies of drag, you know, Barry Humphries is definitely one of those legacies that, you know, has helped pave the way for us to even be here today. Because if we're talking about mainstream drag, there's nobody more mainstream drag than Barry Humphries. So, you know, there has to be an element of an element of respect, but at the same time, don't condone what he said at all. Like, get a grip. Like, you know, we shouldn't start criticizing the people that have, like, you know, made it okay for you to make a career out of it either. So I totally understand. But yeah, no, if I'd known, I just wouldn't have done it, you know. If I want to like spill all the tea, do you want to know who I was wanting to do? So I was gonna do Jamae from Summer Heights High and do Chris Lilly and Jamae, do Mr. G and Jamae. But unfortunately, that wasn't allowed due to some reasons. And then my next one was Patsy from AbFab, which I'd already done in House of Drag. So I was like, okay, we'll chuck her in there. But RuPaul really convinced me out of doing Patsy because I'd never seen Patsy on Snatch Game at all. And she was like, no, somebody has done it. And I was like, nobody has done it. But of course, the Vivian had just done it in the season that she'd filmed. So Barry Humphries was all that was left. And the last other option was Anna Faris. So she's still in the pocket for maybe another time. But yeah, no, and after doing it, like, I'd probably think about it completely differently. Like, ask more questions about this episode because there's a lot. Like, this was an awful episode for me. Awful.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, so I can, going back to your point, your sort of previous point, I didn't know about the Barry. I knew who Barry Humphrey was,
Yeah.
but I didn't know about any of the drama and like the stuff that he had said. And obviously, I don't condone that either. And I think it's a fair point that you made that, you know, you have to in some way separate the artist from what they've previously done. And if you, especially if you didn't have any idea about it. So I don't
Nah.
blame you for that at all. I just thought it was interesting to hear your perspective on it after having heard about it, I assume, once the show
Yeah.
came out. Because other people have done much worse people on Snatch Game.
Oh,
So
hello. I was like, get a grip, really? Like, and I honestly had no idea. So when it kind of came up, I was like, I mean, it's not like people were coming for me, but there were a few comments, and I was kind of like, I don't understand. So of course I did some research and I saw the comments, and I was like, okay, well, I totally understand. I didn't know that at the time. So it's that simple.
yeah, and at the same time, he's an Australian legend or down under
Yeah.
legend, and like it's such an iconic character. I knew as soon as I saw the glasses, I knew who you were. It was funny.
Exactly. And this is the thing about Snatch Game too. It's like, this is why I chose characters like this, was like, that's why Barry Humphries was on the list, was because it's so iconic to the world that no matter where in the world you watch the show, you wouldn't understand who I was. It's like when people do people, we have no idea. Like, who is Celia Cruz? I have no idea. No idea. So you need to pick somebody that is going to relate with everybody, you know? And that's how I thought about it too. That's why she was on the list. And Jamae, hello, because I was going to be super cash. Yeah. My 3-finger bit scap. Yeah. Daddy.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Welcome
Welcome to Mr. G's room. Geez, I was going to start singing at a keyboard and everything. But anyway, that's another story.
So it sounds like you would have killed it regardless.
I would know. I would have killed if I could have done what I had prepared to do. Yeah.
So you said earlier, so that this episode was really bad for you. So can you sort of explain why that was?
So this episode was like, I feel like there was an expectation on me to do well in Snatch Game, and I felt the pressure. Where you sit in the lineup can matter, because if you're at the end or you're at the beginning, you're either going to open with a bang or you're going to close with a bang. So you're in a really hard place. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. I thought, like, what I thought I knew before going into it, absolutely none. And as soon as that first joke landed, there was no laughter, like none. So in my head, I just went, I've already it, and I spiraled. That whole fucking thing. It was awful. All I kept looking at was how many cards is RuPaul holding in his hand the whole time. Like, how many more questions? Let's go. Let's get off the stage. I want to get out of here. Yeah, literally. It was awful. And I still did okay. Like, I kept on paddling and kept on paddling. But yeah, it was so much harder than anybody ever thinks. It's way harder. And it's harder when you need the volleys and you need people that are going to interject. And it's just this massive improvisation. It's crazy. Like, it's really hard work. It's hard work. And Hannah did a bloody good job because she killed it. I was like, yeah, she killed it.
She did. I thought you said, like Hannah was amazing. It was obvious she was going to win. She was so good.
Yeah.
I thought you did a really good job. I thought you were probably, to me, were quite high in the ranking on Snatch Game. And like, I thought maybe you would have been maybe like third in the ranking. Because I thought Yuri was like pulled out the bag, like out of nowhere.
I mean, Yuri was the surprise of the night because I was like, what has happened to us? Her Courtney was just brilliant. And when I was in the room, like, I was cracking up laughing too. Fuck, she was so good.
It was a very surprising.
And unexpected. Very unexpected. God, she did good.
She did, and you did really well as well. And I think that was obviously Hannah's episode. Like, she was obviously going to win.
100%.
So yeah, sort of spinning on, like obviously you won lots of you won on high placements. You won the girl group challenge with the Babs, and then you kind of get down to the makeover challenge, which was the penultimate challenge. With that makeover, did you? Because obviously that was the sort of the challenge to go into the finale. Did you think that you were going to get into the finale, or did you think that you might be in the bottom for that challenge?
Look, it was touch and go, eh? That's always going to be touch and go. I'm not a makeup artist. I don't pretend to be. I can paint myself. Painting other people is a skill in itself. I do not have the patience at all. And because I get too hot and sweaty, I get all moist again. Because I'm concentrating so hard on trying to do a good job. And then you got to paint yourself. And it's like, by the time I get to myself, I'm like, can't be bothered. Like, I don't care. Like, that's it. And then I look rough. So it's like, I'd rather spend the time on myself than you. Just saying. But it was, there was no guarantee that I was going to make the final at all. And I mean, there were wild cards. You know, we had the two older guys, me and Hannah. You know, Molly had gay 5,000. Like, it was like, you know what I mean? Like, he knew who he wanted to be, what he was going to be. So there were all of these kind of things that were, you know, could go either way for anybody. You know, would the clothes fit? You know, getting the makeup on an older person was hard anyway, but Paul was such a champ. Like, he was an absolute champ. It was the most amazing experience. And I think the thing that really shone through from us, I think, is that we actually really bonded. You know, he went through a lot of stuff and talked about a lot of stuff with me, which I won't share because they didn't share it. And, you know, traumatic life stuff, we got really in there deep, and he understood how important it was to me and how he wanted to do the very best he could for me. And that's what we did. We went out there and we had a good time, and it was like, it is what it is. You know, I can't make it any better or any worse. It is what it is. And we just have to go out there and sell it, which is basically, if you look back at it now, it's the theme of my whole season. Like, that's it. This is what I've got, and I'm going to come out here and I'm going to give it to you. This is it. It's not going to change. So, and he did such a good job, and he was sassy as, and just such a joy. It was such a great episode for all of us, and to have a whole family of men as well who you know, came to put on a dress for each other, and it was brilliant. It's probably one of my highlights of the show too. Yeah, it was such a great episode, and yeah, a lot of pressure because it was who's going to make it to the end. So And yeah, that was probably the episode I cracked. They didn't really show a lot. Oh, yeah, they did. They showed me cry. Yeah, because I was so close. I was like, if I go home now, like I've just worked my ass off to get here. Like I have to get to the end. But yeah, and my pineapple and my pizza slut worked.
Yeah,
And I looked at it differently too. That's the other thing. Our concept was different. It wasn't good or evil, or it wasn't, light or dark, or, it was pizza on a pineapple. It was sweet and savory.
it was a cool concept I've never seen done before, and it was like, yeah, it was quite kitschy and stuff, but it worked, and I think that works with your personality and everything. If you'd come out doing this like super glamorous thing like Hannah had done, it probably wouldn't have quite translated. So,
Oh no, I'm better with no pants on. Honestly, people keep saying to me, they're like, Spankie, you need to put some pants on. I'm like, you have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea. I'm better with no pants.
that's your
Mainly the
superpower.
air. Mainly the air is the main reason.
Ventilation is important.
Ventilation is key. It is in the summer months. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised. It was a lovely episode. It was so heartwarming. The guys were so nice, and it was so nice to see, especially some older guys who were like so accepting of their son or their grandson or nephew, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So when so you got into the finale, and then which obviously was super exciting. I wasn't surprised, I'll be honest. But when you three were in the finale and you were doing you did your number, your dance, and your verse.
Uh-huh.
After that was all done, what did you think your chances are of winning? Like, if you're being honest, did you really think you were going to win, or did you think someone else was going to win?
If I'm honest, I hoped I would have a chance at winning, but I did honestly believe that Hannah was going to win, and I would have been gutted because I felt like I'd really proved myself to earn it in the end. But when I'm looking at what I've watched on Drag Race for as long as I've been watching, one of those main components is always this look. It's a look component, and that girl turned up every bloody time, and was also really funny, really entertaining. She's charismatic as, so I was like, she deserves it. I mean, either of them, it was the same. It was either Hannah or Kween was going to do it. And I just thought, Hannah has the same, we're even. So it was Hannah has 3, I have 3, Kween has 2. So it was like, okay, it's either me or her, but they could flip the script and go with Kween because she redeemed herself in the end. So it was like, everybody deserved to win for whatever storyline that was going to work. But not only that, for the work that they'd put in, So, yeah, I hoped I could win, but I honestly didn't believe. That's why it's still just mind-blowing to me. Like, how did this little gay boy from Palmerston North manage to like sit in the back cabin for 4 years eating sluts and salads because they were trying to be thin and watch Drag Race, stop eating carbs, and then manage to do it, to do it. So I'm just super grateful to have even been involved and to even have gotten to this point. Like, I couldn't be more grateful to be here.
Yeah, that's such a lovely thing, and I think I agree. It was so lovely that you, like the three of you, it was such a close call. I think on track record, probably it was you and Hannah, I guess. And even though Kong is like amazing performer, like so gorgeous and so amazing, from the track record, I was like probably you two. So I really didn't know who it was going to be, but I thought from the edit, probably you, just because, as Hannah sort of has said in her interview, you were sort of given a bit more personality in the edit, whereas she was cut out a lot. So that's kind of,
Yeah.
But what did that feel like then? Because I assume, am I right in thinking that all of you filmed winning and then you didn't find out who won until you watched it on TV?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So how did that
So
feel then, watching it and realizing that you actually won?
I just cried. And it was a mix of and me and the girls were talking about this recently actually, is I was heartbroken for them. We had the most amazing day the day before on the Friday. Like, it was such a marathon to get to that point, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. But we had a whole day of press at, like, we had to be in drag at 7:10 on Friday morning, and we were in drag until 8:30, 9 p.m. that night, all day doing press. Then we went to sleep, woke up, our families arrived, we put on a face, we went to the finale, and we, like, watched it. But we were having, drinks with all of our families and our friends upstairs, and it was like everybody was so sorry, this makes me a little bit emotional, as to be there was such a joy and a privilege to share this with, everybody's families and their friends, and we had such an amazing time together. And then to kind of get to the finale, my heart broke for them, because it was like all of their support is here, and but then there's that realization as well. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I've done this. But like I said earlier, the win was the three of us, like, getting to be together. Like, okay, I want some money. That's literally it. I want some prizes and some money and a crown, which hasn't arrived. But anyway, I'm just saying, I've got my scepter. So, okay, that's half of it, but I'm still waiting. My head is empty. Okay. But that's the win. Like, it is. And for me, if there'd been no money, okay, like, the money helps. It really does. But it really, to me, was an achievement. Like, it was such an achievement for me, from giving up everything to ending up winning House of Drag to this one. And now, my goal now is, like, if I could do 2, I could do 3. So I want to be on all winners. So all you people, start telling them, and I'm going to take it a 3rd time. That's the goal. Yeah, I want to keep on going.
No, I think we'd all love to see you, like, any chance.
And then we should have Legends of the Universe, which should be the next, right? And it's all the legends. Yeah, like the Chad Michaels and the Alaskas. And they're like, yeah.
That would be incredible. So yeah, get tight.
No Jujubee. I love her to death, but babes, calm down. Please buy new hair. Oh, Juju, you're working so hard, babes. Love you. Love you.
I love Jujubee. She's great.
Oh, she's so great. I love her. I froth for her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, amazing that you won. It's so, like, lovely to sort of. It's so heartwarming and it's so on brand for you that you were almost, like, sad for the other people. Like, I think if you hadn't won, I think you would probably be on track for being Miss Congeniality, to be honest, because you were always so nice.
I mean, the thing is like, I really am a bit of a bitch as well, but I'm actually, like, I would say the C word instead, because I do live in Australia and New Zealand, but I won't use it. But is that, I believe in tough love. Like, I'm a bit of a tough love person. It's like, get a grip. Like, I don't understand, and it's very who I am. But there is a big side of me. I am a big softie, like I am. I may not come off like that all the time, and people who really know me understand what I'm talking about. I am a little bit standoffish at times, but it comes from a place of love, and I've just been very fortunate to have such supportive and caring people in my life, even from the day I was born, to be adopted and then welcomed into an amazing family of, 2 of the most amazing people and incredible people in the world. They are amazing people, my parents, and have adopted every child, every friend I've ever had. They still call them mum and dad. So it's like, this is who I grew up around, and then I have my friends and all of the supportive people who, have been here before any of this crap began. I was just a drag queen, you know, supporting me out in the clubs and doing all of that, you know. So to get to this point, you kind of feel like in some way you've paid them back a little bit, you know. It was kind of all worth it. So it's only fair for me to keep on giving what was given to me to the rest of the world, yeah, at all
I mean,
times.
that is a lovely way to look at it and very on brand for you. So
Babes, I'm just doing me. Like, I mean, I'm half a step away from a bottle of tequila, but I'm not getting there yet.
well, that's your brand, isn't it? It's like being lovable and nice, but also being like a drunk stripper.
Oh, totally. Like, my girl was like, and even today, I'm really representing even Carmen Electra. Like, I feel like I'm actually giving you that vibe today. It was those girls, you know, the girls of the 90s, the bad girls, the Pams and the Pamela, you know, Carmen Electra and like Linda Evangelista and even the supermodels, you know, like when Tyra Banks and like Kate Moss like first started coming in and they were baggage. You know what I mean? It's very that's who I am, you know, that's the girl I am. I'm like the Paris Hilton of the 90s. Sliving.
I mean, that I would agree.
Yeah.
You know, so obviously, yeah, I mean, congratulations. It was so amazing that you won, and like I think it was so deserving, and you showed such an like a great you had such a great time on the show. You showed your personality. I think you were very different to a lot of other winners because, like you said, you weren't necessarily known for being like the fashion queen, like some of the other people.
No.
You were just pure personality.
Yeah. And I do, you know, I think that that's probably the one thing that I can't quite comprehend. You know, people keep saying and bringing up that like you changed the game, like you changed the game, and that's quite a daunting, massive thing in itself because who would have thought that I could have possibly had a hand in changing the game slightly, you know? And the thing is that I do think that Drag Race had become about the clothes. And I don't think it had become about, and it wasn't the judges, it was the contestants. Well, like, I need this to win. And it's like, I've never believed that at all. Not once, not 1 ounce of it. Like, I don't believe that. Because you got to kill the challenge. I could look like and still kill the challenge and still have a chance at winning. And here I sit. It's called self-belief, people, and the occasional drink of delusion, you know? I mean, I think you need both to be in it to win it, right?
No, definitely. I mean, you had such a great run on the show, and you've shown personality. And I think, yeah, you did change the game. You are, and like you've paved the way for other people. I think, like you said, recently, more in recent years, Drag Race has become about the outfits and how much you're spending, how elaborate they are. And I think it was so nice to see someone who, not to say that you were always bad because you didn't. You looked good as well, but your personality just shone.
Very kind. That's very kind of you.
I think a lot of your outfits, I think people, because it was you wearing, people were like, oh, it's fine, like almost like not taking it seriously. But some of your outfits, I really liked. I was like, if someone else was wearing that, people wouldn't be thinking that. It's only because it's
No,
you.
that's a good point. It's like the clown. The clown gets a lot of flack, and it's like, I think that was one of my best looks. Like, and it was completely fashion. There were 3 clowns standing on that stage, and I did not like any of them. So it was like, I delivered the brief of what I thought a circus was. So, you know, yeah. And I drew everything. Everything came from my mind, you know. And that's exactly what I wanted to do with my time on there, was the outfits to be from my point of view, not some designer's point of view. Like, it was me. It was my mind. It was my stories. It was, everything has a story attached to it. It represents somebody or some piece of my life, all of it. So it's, you know, that's what it was. I'm going to write a show about it. Yeah.
I really liked it. And like I said, the clown was one of my highlights of your outfits. I really liked it. So obviously you won the show, and obviously that's amazing. I was just wondering if you could, we sort of talked a bit about behind the stage tea and stuff. The name of my channel is Drag Tea Served. So I was wondering
Right,
if you
yeah.
could serve us some drag tea and maybe tell us a moment that didn't get shown on the show that you wish had been, or something that happened backstage that was interesting.
Okay, well, I can spill a lot of backstage tea. It's all funny though. Okay, so the first one is you guys really missed out on the hysterics of me and Hannah during the acting challenge. We had to be separated at one point because we were laughing so much. And we weren't even talking. We weren't even talking. We were laughing. But we were in hysterics because I had tits down to here and blacked out teeth, and she just kept walking past the door and I'd lose it. And that was a good hour and a half of us getting told off because we were laughing so much. It was one of the funniest moments. What else? I sharded myself at Drag Race. That was fun. Me and the girls had an emotional day, and then we had an illegal KFC meal. I paid for it. And we had KFC on the floor. And of course, the girls were making me laugh so much that I like laughed and farted, but there was a little poo. And so I like had to get up, and I'd only just met these girls as well. Like, can you imagine? Like, I'd only just met them. And so I like just get up and I start walking backwards. And the girls are like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, I just need to go to my room. And they're like, "Yeah, but where are you going?" I was like, "I just sharted myself." And we've never forgotten about it. And yeah, it happened. What else? That's really all. Like, there's nothing else really. I blocked the toilet one time. That was fun. I know these are terrible, but they are true. So, okay, I'll tell this one and then I'll stop. But so they bought us tacos the night before and they were awful, right? Or it was a burrito or something. I don't know. It's Mexican. And so I was like Mexicana, like fuel inside of me, sour creams and like chilies and, anyway. So I think this is like 5 days into filming or whatever. And I was like, I did not want to poo at the studio because there was this tiny toilet in this hallway where the office ladies worked and a kitchen and then this toilet and the green room, right? So they're like, if you in the toilet, the smell would go all the way down to these poor girls, right? And if it was really bad, it would go all the way through the green room. So I just held it every day. Like, I was like, I'm not going to be that person. Like, I just can't do it. Anyway, they gave them this bloody burritos and the tacos. And we had to go, I think it was just before going out on the runway. And I was about to put my tights and shit on. And I was like, nah, like, I'm going to have to go. Like, I have to go. So I went to the toilet. Anyway, did my biz, got up, tried to flush the toilet, and the toilet would not flush. It would not flush. So here's me standing in the toilet for like 15, 20 minutes trying to get this. I've lifted the thing off. I've like holding the ball, like I'm bouncing the ball up and down. I'm like, oh my God. Like, then the crew's outside saying to me, they're like, Spankie, we need you on set. We need you on set. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just be there in the minute, blah, blah, blah. I'm still going. I'm turning the taps. I'm like, why is this toilet not flushing? Anyway, they're like, Spankie, we need you on set. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to like. So I opened the door and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Bad. So I put some toilet paper on top of it because I'm a kind person. But I had to go back to set and these two ladies had to fix the toilet. It was awful. And I never pooed on set again. Ever. Yeah. Yeah. I got bloated instead, which was, a side effect. But...
Yeah. I mean, I
know,
I'm not
I took you on a
expecting it
journey.
to go like that.
I took you on a journey, babes. You're welcome.
I think it's very on brand for you because like we never quite know what to expect.
That's the key right there. That's the key. That's exactly my philosophy as well. Even when you come and see me a show, Like, I'll surprise you every time. Just when you think you've heard it all, no.
You certainly did. And I think that's I'm glad that we've heard some lovely stories about you blocking the toilet. And it doesn't surprise me because that's why we love you. Because
life. But it's real life. That's the point. That's why it's so that's why I talk about these experiences, is because this has happened to people all through their lives. Like, nobody can sit here and say, never happened to me. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. So, and we don't talk about this stuff. We just act like it doesn't happen. You know, we're just like, no, I don't do that. But it's like when you're washing their undies and there's the skin in it, you know it's happening. You know what I mean? The Marmite motorway has been used. Yeah, it has. Yeah.
I have never heard it called that before. But
Oh, yeah, the Marmite motorway. Yeah. Yeah. Get into it.
well, that's why we love you, because you're just so unfiltered and you'll just say anything. And like like you said, that's why also I loved the Down Under Queens, because I think they have a similar kind of vibe to the British that we just kind of say whatever.
Much so. Very much so. Yeah.
So I'd love to get onto some subscriber questions.
Okay.
None of them are about toilets.
Oh, bugger.
No, sorry.
It's my specialty. It's my expertise now. Yeah.
So someone said, one of the questions was, what did you think was going to happen after the Kong versus Beverly lip sync?
I mean, that could have gone either way, to be fair. I did think that Queen was going to stay, but I did think it was possibly going to be a double. It would have been a double Shantae, to be fair. If you were in that room, those two, it was electric. It was me and Hannah. I wish they'd shown way more of us watching that, because we were probably looked like everybody at home jumping off their couch. Every time somebody threw themselves at the floor or something, we'd be like we were living for it. We had the best time. The two of us were gagging, absolutely gagging. But yeah, I thought it was probably going to be a double win.
It was a great lip sync, probably one of the best of probably the best
and the funniest. I mean, honestly, have you seen the videos where people put it to Mortal Kombat? Like, I wet myself. It's too good.
I can see that.
That's so good.
Someone else asked, how would you describe your experience of being the only regular season winner to be in the bottom two in the first episode and then go on to win it? The only other person was Chad Michaels, who was in the bottom of All Stars 1 and then went on to win it, and you're the only other one.
Which is crazy, right? I just think it just is satisfaction. It really is. It's like, you've still got it. That's how I look at it. You know, that's how I take it at the end of the day. It's like, that's the pat on the back to me, where it's like, you know what? You're doing the right thing. You're on the right track. You're doing really good. So it's just another achievement. Like, it's no different from somebody running a marathon. It's exactly the same. You prepare for it. You work for it. You know, it's hard work.
Definitely. And I think I kind of, when I saw the rest of the season, because obviously in the first episode we didn't really know you that well, any of the contestants. And then obviously you're getting judged on whether you can sew or make an outfit, which is quite difficult. But I think you proved that you had so much more to you than just that outfit, which in itself was iconic.
Yeah, I mean, going into it, even into the show, that was the only challenge that I knew that would sink me. The rest of it, I knew I got it. And I just proved all of that. So, you know, I knew that from day dot, but I expected it like 3 or 4. And I was like, okay, I've got time to show myself before this happens. But I was just lucky to probably get enough personality in there, even from being slapped, you know, was a bonus, because it was that interaction. It was like, you know, all those little extra bits and pieces. Like it makes sense.
No, it definitely does. And you had such an amazing run on the show and like one little blip at the beginning. But it kind of is iconic that you were like bottomed at the beginning and then like by the end you won. Like that's just so iconic.
I mean, I've never bottomed at the beginning. I like to top at the end.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I mean, you opened up the door and I saw the opening. I mean, that's generally what a top would say as well. You know, they saw that the door was open. Yeah.
I knew you were gonna say that, but yeah, I did open the door. You just sort of pushed
You
it open.
opened the door, like I saw it and I like grabbed it and I went with it. Yeah.
Someone else asked, and we've kind of touched about on this thread, but someone said, was it hard to hear the judges make their critiques about how like low budget your outfits looked sometimes? Like that kind of whole concept of you were always criticized kind of for your looks. How did that kind of feel?
I think that there is the portion of what you get to see is a lot more critiques than that. So there's a lot more that is sifted through. So there are always good with bad. I think the comments that I was probably more surprised by were the comments that I didn't see and wasn't there for. Those are the comments that really got me probably more, which were the ones, you know, where they're talking about us behind, you know, in deliberating or whatever. And it was kind of this whole thing of like how rough I am. And it's like, I'm not a rough drag queen. Like, I'm a pretty drag queen. This is what I do. Do you know what I mean? Okay, yep. Clearly, when you have the time constraints and things like that, and I like my time to prepare in my way to get ready for me, that all goes out the window. So, yeah, your makeup's going to be rough. Yeah, the outfit's going to be rough. All of the problems that come with getting to Drag Race, that's what people don't understand. It's like, by all means, sit here and judge me all you like. I did it with ill-fitting clothes because I have talent. So it was like, you know, it's still possible. Like, it's I've lost my train of thought now, but that's okay. Got on a tangent.
You know, like I thought your outfits, like I kind of to me, I was
that's
like,
what we were
well,
talking about. Yeah, sorry, I'm back. Yeah.
I was like, I like some of your outfits, and like I thought, to be honest, that was what I was like. I'm not going to be going to a Spankie Jackzon show to see her walk the runway as like a Balenciaga model. I'm going because she's fabulous, she's funny, she's got charisma. Like that's your thing.
Like that's when you come to see me. I'm going to put on a show. Like you will not leave unentertained, whatever that may look like. I don't know because I don't plan. Do you know what I mean? It could be anything. I like to go with the flow. I'm one of those people. I can do that. Not a lot of people can. But I like to leave room to play. You know, that's what we do this for. It's entertainment. I'm not a fashion model. I'm not a GQ. I'm not sitting on a beach trying to like sell an apple. You know what I mean? I mean, I could. But like, I mean, I probably actually just sold a few boxes just then. But like, right? Apple people, look me up. But I know who I am. Like, I'm an entertainer. I'm live. I like to be intimate as well. I would rather be in a room where I can touch you and smell you than be in the stage up here away from you. Like, that's very who I am. You know, it's like even going to some of the clubs and they're like, oh, do you want a separate area? No, I came here to be with the people. Hello, that's why I do this, you know? So it's very much part of who I am, you know, come for the show, not for the clothes. Because I'm not wearing any. Just saying. I'm just going to start doing shows behind a chair the whole time, mate. Just like, I've decided to be naked.
I was going to say that's how you get around the fashion element is you just don't wear any clothes.
I just won't wear any. Great, problem solved.
And the final question was, if there ever was a Down Under versus the world, Not all, so not including yourself because you're a winner. So if there was a Down Under versus the world, which of your season 2 queens would you like to see on it?
Oh, definitely Hannah and Queen. 100%. I think the girls both deserve a second time to shine. And not being up against somebody so charismatic would be like, nice for them. But no, both of them 100% deserve that. I'd like to see, I think it would be great to see Minnie. I'd like to see more of Minnie. And I think Beverly Kills, Beverly Kills ended up turning it, she did her growth through Drag Race, but if you see her and what she's doing now, she's quite incredible. So I think, sometimes you go through experiences to kind of get you to the next step. So and it's a learning curve, or you learn something that changes things. So yeah, definitely. I think probably Beverly. Yeah.
No, yeah, she's great. Minnie's great. They're both so entertaining. I've interviewed them and they were so charismatic and funny.
Oh God, Minnie would have talked your ear off. Do you know what I mean? Did you even? How long was your interview?
I can't go into it.
4 hours. Yeah.
She's great. No, she's so funny, and both her.
Oh, she's so fun. She's so good.
Well, thank you so much for the questions. I'd love to get on to my quick fire round of questions.
Go.
It's just 5 random questions. Some are drag related, some are not, but it's just sort of quick fire, first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay, great. Go.
Lipstick or lip gloss?
Lipstick. Lip gloss, my hair sticks to it, and then I'm like, yeah, no, it's not good. I'm like that scene from White Chicks, where he gets yeah, it's gross. Absolutely disgusting.
I think I know the answer to this one already, but yes or
Anal.
no? Pineapple on pizza.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I do understand that people get very precious about the pizza, but it's really just dough at the end of the day. No matter how you cook it, it's just dough. So if you want to put that on your pizza, eat it. And I just think it's nice to have a touch of sweet with a bit of savory. It's nice. Not all the time though.
Favorite emoji?
Oh, the finger. I love that one. Yeah.
Cocktail or champagne?
Oh, cocktail. Champagne goes straight to my head and gives me the whoops. And you don't want to see that. Even 2 glasses straight to the head. And then I'll have a headache half an hour later, so no. Give me a gin, soda, lime, or a beer. I know. Classy.
And can you summarize your Drag Race experience in one word?
Fuck. No. Incredible. Yeah, incredible. Yeah.
I think that sums up your experience. Thank you so much for being on. We loved speaking to you. You were one of my favorites from the season. I was rooting. I was definitely team Jackzon.
Yes. See, thank you.
So if people want to sort of learn more about you or want to follow you, where can people find you? And can you tell us about any upcoming projects you've got?
Yeah, so you can find me on all social medias, places, sites, levels, foundations. So a Spankie _Jackzon on Instagram, and you can find me on Twitter as well. I don't know how to tweet and be one of the Twitter people, but I'm trying. I post funny things from time to time. I think upcoming things, definitely the Babs are going on tour. So you can get your tickets at babstour.com if you don't have them. And we're doing Australia and New Zealand. So we get to do my homeland as well, or me and Queen's homeland as well. So that's really great. And I'll be around everywhere for World Pride in Sydney. And there's plenty of things. I'm hosting Laugh Out Proud, which is a comedy show for World Pride. So if you want to do that, find your tickets as well for that. And yeah, but there's more to come, babes. The next year is only just beginning.
I mean, that's so exciting. And I mean, that definitely makes sense because you're amazing. And I think any chance we can to see more Spankie Jackzon, the better.
See, I love that. I feel like we need to add a finger now. See, that's where we need a finger emoji. Like, we're like...
Well, thank you so much for being on my channel. It's been lovely to get to speak to you, hear more about you.
Thank you. And thank you for like sharing our stories and taking time to listen to us and you know, being interested in our lives as well, because we're just people, you know, at the end of the day. And yeah, just thank you for, you know, taking the time to share our stories to the world, and we really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. I love the show. I'm such a super fan. I love all of you queens. You're all so talented, and like you, obviously, loved you from the start. So it was like a really honored to get to like actually meet you and speak to you. So
thank you so much.
bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.